Since November, over 360 Division I women's basketball programs lined up for a chance at the biggest prize. Through the grind of an always intense and exciting regular season, 68 teams survived the grind and the chaos of the regular season and conference tournaments to play in the NCAA tournament. And we started trimming the field down from 64 down to 32, then to 16, then 8, then 4, and now at the end of 3 interesting weeks, there are only 2 teams left standing. One team that's trying to show that the new kid on the championship block may just be the best. Their men's program is arguably the greatest of all time. They are in terms of championships. Now, the women want their chance to run Westwood and bring a title to UCLA. Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks are old hands at this. Win today, and it's their 4th crown in a 9-year span. All the drama, all the excitement has led to this. 2 teams, 1 mission. The University of South Carolina, the University of California at Los Angeles. The winner lays claim to women's college basketball's national championship. With that, we say good afternoon, everybody. I am Seth Eaves. Thank you so much for being with us. We even saved you the best seat in the house. It's all come down to this. It is South Carolina. It is UCLA. It is for a national championship. What a game we have at prospect. 2 teams who did not play each other in the regular season, but the Gamecocks have found their way, but both teams have found their way to meet each other in the championship bout. So, how did we get here with each of these teams? Let's talk about it, shall we? Let's start with Corey Close. Let's start with Dawn Staley, South Carolina Gamecocks. That's where we'll start. Of course, the Gamecocks, who last year lost in the women's in the national championship game to the University of Connecticut. A team playing, by the way, in their 3rd straight championship game today are the Gamecocks. Dawn Staley's team, you knew they were going to be really, really good. You just had a feeling they were going to be excellent, coming off a 35-4 year. They did lose some people. They had some injury issues. They did lose 4 pretty big players. Bree Hall, Sanaya Fagan, and Tiana Powpow all left for the WNBA, while Malaysia Fawiley left for LSU. Then right before the season, Chloe Kitts, another key cog in the Carolina arsenal, suffered a season-ending injury. So how did it all work out? Well, South Carolina was still expected to do well. They were picked number 1 in the SEC in the preseason, and they were the number 2 team in the United States in the Associated Press poll. And Carolina won its first 7 with relative comfort, including wins over Clemson, Southern California, and Duke. November 27th, loss number 1, a heartbreaking 2-point setback against Texas in Las Vegas. That dropped them to 7-1. But the Gamecocks just kept on rolling. They won their next 12, including a 2-point win at Louisville. They then finished up with 5 more comfortable non-conference wins before the grind of the SEC. After winning 4 regular games that they were expected to, South Carolina faced its first major conference test in mid-January, a home game against then number 4 Texas, and revenge for Carolina from the Vegas setback. 68-65, 14-8 from Joyce Edwards did the trick. But a week after that, South Carolina hit a second roadblock in Norman against 16th-ranked Oklahoma. You would have to say maybe one of, if not their worst performance of the season. Aaliyah Chavez had her coming out party. Oklahoma's star freshman. South Carolina never scored in overtime. Oklahoma won by 12 points. But the Gamecocks rolled on again, another 12-game winning streak, which included a 29-point demolition of then number 5 Vanderbilt, a 43-point win over 19th-ranked Tennessee, a 7-point win at number 6 LSU, a 19-point win at then number 25 Alabama, a 85-48 demolition of 17th ranked Mississippi, and a hard-fought 4-point win at 16th ranked Kentucky to end the season. In the SEC tournament, Carolina got the number 1 seed. They beat Kentucky and Louisiana State to get to the championship, but then they ran into that Texas buzzsaw again. Never really got going in that game in Greenville. 78-61, Texas won the SEC tournament, and so South Carolina went into the NCAA tournament with a record of 31 up and 3 down, and they decided to take out all the frustrations on their opponents. Now, their point totals decreased every game, but the margins are still good. It started with a more than comfortable 103-34 win over Southern University in round 1. A second meeting with USC, no contest. Gamecocks by 40. Then in the Sweet 16, revenge against OU. They beat them by 26 in Sacramento. Latson had 28. And then they blew open a relatively tight game in the region in the Elite Eight against TCU. They won it 78-52 by 26. That sent them into the semifinals on Friday night against undefeated UConn, and South Carolina smothered the Huskies in a game in which UConn really, and which has been publicized for all the wrong reasons, South Carolina did it for all the right reasons. 16-11 from Tania Latson, and Carolina was off to the championship game yet again. That's the story on how South Carolina got here. Now, what about the University of California at Los Angeles? 34-3 last season, losing in the semifinal to UConn. Other than guard Janiah Barr going to Tennessee, they did not lose a whole lot. Gianna Neepkins joined from Utah, but it was a group of seniors who wanted to run it back one last time. Kiki Rice, Gabriela Jaquez, Angela Dugalich, Lauren Betts. Amazing stuff. UCLA was a number 3 preseason team. They won their first 6. They tested themselves in non-conference. Among the early non-conference wins, a 73-59 win over then number 6 Oklahoma, and then a 78-60 win against then 11th ranked North Carolina. The Bruins suffered their first and to date only loss of the season back on November 26th by 11 points to Texas and Vegas. After throttling Duke, Tennessee, and Oregon, it was off to get into full conference play, and they just kept on rolling. A 7-point win at Ohio State. An 80-46, the highlights of the conference included an 80-46 romp of then number 17 USC. A 22-point win at then number 15 Nebraska, staying steady at 4 and then rising to 3 and 2 in the odd setbacks. A 30-point home win over then 12th ranked Maryland. A 23-point win over then number 8 Iowa. Their closest scare of the year in conference came February 8th at then number 8 Michigan, a 69-66 win. They then went to East Lansing 3 days later, beat number 13 Michigan State by 23. They beat 4 unranked teams to end the regular season, and then in the Big Ten tournament, they continued the butt kicking. They beat Washington to the quarterfinals by 18, a 10-point win over Ohio State to the semis, and then an unfathomable 96-45 romp over Iowa in the Big Ten championship game. That gave the Bruins the number 2 overall seed, the number 1 seed in the Sacramento 2 quadrant. And the Bruins did the damage there. Lauren Betts has been the star, the leading scorer in 4 of UCLA's 5 wins. First, 22 in a 96-43 romp over the WAC champion Cal Baptist. Then a comfortable 19-point second-round win against Oklahoma State in what proved to be an emotional game, the final game at home for this decorated senior class. Off to the Sweet 16 in Sacramento. They beat conference foe Minnesota by 24, then overcame a halftime deficit in the Elite Eight against Duke to win by 12. And then here Friday night, 7-point win against Texas. Lauren Betts, the key block at the end, exacting revenge on Texas for that lone loss that UCLA had. So Carolina has disposed of Southern, USC, Oklahoma, TCU, and UConn to get to the championship game, while UCLA's victims again, Cal Baptist, Oklahoma State, Minnesota, Duke, and Texas. UCLA has won the old AIAW National Championship way back when, but they've never even played for an NCAA championship until now. Corey Close. This is the last thing that's missing. She's done it all at UCLA. Can she win the championship? And South Carolina, again, old hands at this. A fourth in 9 years awaits the Gamecocks with a win today. Their loyal fans have made the trek to the desert. Are they going to win it again? In the title for the third straight year. An amazing bit of consistency by Coach Dawn Staley and her team. They are finishing up pre-game ceremonies, and we should have starting lineups introduced to the crowd and more of that kind of fun stuff in just a little bit. But I mean, my goodness, what a scene it should be here in Phoenix. South Carolina and UCLA, again, they did not meet in the regular season. South Carolina had north of a 40-game win streak the last time they met, which was last season, November 24th, 2024 in LA. The Bruins won it 77-62. The seventh all-time meeting. The Gamecocks have captured 4 wins, the Bruins 2. This one is for all the marbles. We will step aside for a quick moment. When we come back, we'll throw the ball up in the air, get it tipped, and get Championship Sunday from the desert between South Carolina and UCLA underway. This is the Women's National Championship Game Watchalong on Ultimate Sports Media. Ready to roll from Phoenix, Arizona. South Carolina, UCLA. Only one can claim a national championship. Who will it be on this Easter Sunday in the Arizona desert? Will it be the veteran Gamecocks or will it be the Bruins with this senior class looking to finish the job? It's been an interesting season and 8 senior starters today, tied for the most in title game history. Betts and Ocott will jump center. And the championship is underway. It's UCLA who controls the opening tip, going from left to right as you listen in the white uniforms. Ledger Walker gives it to Gabriela Jaquez, who circles the baseline. Jaquez now in the paint, now backs it up a little bit. A lob to Betts inside. Betts turn around off the glass, good. First points UCLA. It's Lauren Betts. Averaging 22 points in this tournament, 2-0 the lead for UCLA early on in this one. South Carolina has it now with Latson. Latson now moves to the right wing. Latson now gets it to Ocott. Ocott for 3. Off the mark, no good. Rebound, loose ball, came to Tessa Johnson, who blew the layup. Raven Johnson, though, gets the rebound. South Carolina wants to reset. Latson inside. Ocott off glass, good. And 2 for the 6'6 senior from Kenya, and we're even at 2 apiece. Ocott averaging a double-double in this tournament. Jaquez for UCLA on the right wing. Jaquez on the right wing, looking now over to Betts, and her pass picked off by Joyce Edwards. Joyce Edwards driving, runner in the lane, left it short off the front of the rim. Rebound UCLA and Jaquez. Now it's Ledger Walker. Jaquez left wing, and we get a whistle. We get our first foul of the game, and it's on South Carolina. And it comes at the 8:32 mark in the first quarter. Dawn Staley looking to become the 4th coach to win 4 national championships. Ledger Walker jumper at the free throw line is canned, and UCLA goes back in front of the jumper from Clarice Ledger Walker. Raven Johnson now finds her namesake Tessa. Here's Ocott in the paint. Ocott trying to turn on Betts. Betts altered that shot a little bit too strong. Rebound UCLA. Neepkins on the right wing now finds Ledger Walker. Rice. Ledger Walker. Jaquez trying to flip it to Betts. Always a good option. Betts has 2 more. Lauren Betts with 4 of UCLA's first 6 points. And the Bruins lead it 6-2. Latson on the right wing for South Carolina. Latson now gives it to Ocott. Back over to Latson. Latson top of the key now on a drive. Ran in to Ledger Walker. Kept her balance though. Latson driving in the paint. No good, but a whistle and a foul, and she'll go to the line. 7:29 to go first quarter. 6-2 UCLA just underway in this women's championship game. Lauren Betts, 233 blocks in her career, 268 career points in the NCAA tournament. So here is Latson, an 80% free throw shooter. Senior from Miami, the Florida State transfer. And it's good. First one good to make it a 6-3 lead for the Gamecocks. Latson, an 87% free throw shooter. Second one also good to make it a 6-4 UCLA lead. Here is Kiki Rice. Rice now finds Jaquez. Jaquez now over to Dugalich. It's Dugalich on a drive. Missed the layup. Jaquez got it back, put it in, and won. Gabriela Jaquez, who has famous brother Jaime in the stands watching today. The senior from Camarillo, California, will go to the free throw line. Jaquez, an 86% free throw shooter. Free throw up and good for Jaquez. 7:11 to play first quarter, 9-4 the lead for UCLA. Raven Johnson up the floor for South Carolina. Gives it to Edwards. Now over to Latson. Latson now to Miriam Dowda, who's come into the game. Here's Tessa Johnson. Bounce pass in the lane. It's Latson, no good, but she got the rebound. Or Dowda got the rebound. Kicks it back to Latson on the right wing with 15 to shoot. Latson on the spin. Latson looks for help, trying to find it through. Rice got the interception, and it's into the hands of Betts. Rice with the basketball. Betts now over to Rice. Rice drives, and it is no good. South Carolina now running the other way with it. Here's Edwards. Left the floater short. Rebound bounces into the hands of Betts. Here comes Rice. Rice, Neepkins a three. A little bit too strong. Rebounded by Latson for South Carolina as we do the 6-minute mark of the opening quarter. Latson on the left wing. Raven Johnson now gives it to Edwards. Edwards looking for some help. Edwards still has it now. Raven Johnson comes to bail her out. She'll pull for three. It's in and out. Betts had the rebound briefly. It got tapped into the hands of Jaquez. It goes. Now it's over to Neepkins. Here's Dugalich spinning in the lane. Dugalich's turnaround. Gets the friendly roll. And Dugalich gives the Bruins an 11-4 lead with 5 minutes, 34 seconds to play in the first quarter. Raven Johnson with the ball now for South Carolina. Dugalich, the 6th player of the year in the Big Ten. Joyce Edwards. Now it's Tessa Johnson. Gets it back out Latson. Or Dowda, I'm sorry. Dowda inside. And Dowda missed the bunny. Rebound, UCLA. Bruins on a run. Jaquez missed the layup, but she got fouled. And so to the line, she will go. Fast start for UCLA. They're up by a score of 11-4. So it's Jaquez the free throw line. Neepkins set to come back in for UCLA. Gabriela Jaquez, the winningest player in UCLA history. Makes the first free throw. 123 wins. Her 124th. Wins a national championship. Jaquez makes them both, and UCLA is off to a fantastic start. Corey Close's team, 13-4. That is now 107 straight points scored by UCLA seniors. You think that matters a little bit? Here's Raven Johnson now, moving to the right wing for South Carolina. Over now to Tessa Johnson. Tessa Johnson drives in and scores. Good work. And she drew a foul, much to Corey Close's chagrin. And a chance at a three-point play for the junior from Albertville, Minnesota. And that'll lead to our first break in the action. 4:54 to play first quarter in the women's championship game. It's UCLA 13, South Carolina 6. We'll be right back. UCLA has a women's basketball history. You think about Ann Myers Drysdale again, the old AIW championship and the AIAW championship. They won it back in '78. Ann Myers Drysdale in attendance today. No secret who she's rooting for to break through and win that first NCAA national championship. They're off to a good start. 13-6. Already a program record in wins with 36. It's also a Big Ten record. And we're all talking about the drought that the Big Ten has in terms of a men's national championship. It's actually a year longer on the women's side. Purdue in '99, the last time it happened. Tessa Johnson makes the free throw. 13-7 UCLA. 4:51 to play first quarter. Ledger Walker gives it up to Kiki Rice, second winningest player in UCLA history. Sienna Betts has now entered the game. Rice, 16-footer, rims out. Ball bouncing around and into the hands of South Carolina it goes. Here come the Gamecocks. Raven Johnson, right wing. Now over to Edwards. Edwards. Now it's McKeer for three. Good. Again, if you follow the sport, the Agat McKeer three-point show has become something of legend and surprise. Only 20% from there, but she hit two big threes against Connecticut on Friday night. And she hits one here to cut it to a three-point game. Ledger Walker's going to pull. Straight away, three goes in and out. Rebound gathered out by Bilic. Now over to Dugalich. Rice. Lob the pass. Ledger Walker for the left wing. Her three. That one does drop. And UCLA leads at 16-10 with 3:40 to play in the opening stanza. Averaging 5 points a game in the tournament. Already 5 for number 5 for UCLA. Here is Raven Johnson. A bounce pass. Edwards. 10-footer in the paint. Too strong. Rebound Okot. Now it's Tessa Johnson. At the top of the key. Tessa Johnson directing traffic. 12 to shoot. Okot. She'll try a three. A high arcer. That rims out. No good. Dugalich the rebound and a foul on the way down on South Carolina, I do believe. And tomorrow night, the men's basketball national championship here on the channel. Our coverage starts around 8:30 Eastern. UConn and Michigan will play for all the marbles tomorrow night in Indianapolis. Don't forget, we also have the men's NIT championship for you tonight. Tulsa and Auburn at 8 o'clock. Ledger Walker now in it for UCLA. They lead it by 6. Dugalich. Lob. Good defense. Briefly by Okot, but only went as far as Ledger Walker. Then Jaquez had the ball slip out of her hands. It was knocked out of her hands. It's going to stay with UCLA. Or do they call a foul there? Oh, it is going to be, they do judge it to be South Carolina ball. Okay, so it is Gamecock ball. They are down by a half dozen points. Raven Johnson on the left wing. Okot. Okot. Now McKeer on a drive. Back to Okot. Her shot is no good. A little bit short. Rebounded by Betts. Jaquez. Ledger Walker threw it away to Jaquez, and it's over and back. And, boy, passing up an easy 2 there, perhaps. Corey Close is like, be patient. 2:14 to play in the first quarter. 16-10 is the UCLA lead. Joyce Edwards to inbound it for South Carolina. Top 25 nationally in points per game and field goal percentage. Top 15 in the SEC in rebounds per game, blocks per game, and steals per game. And Lauren Betts, she might have gotten some blood or something there, but coughed up some blood because she is on the bench. Well, South Carolina needs to take advantage of this situation. Here's Maddie McDaniel handling the ball now for the Gamecocks. And foul away for the ball on Jaquez. Lauren Betts. Not sure what the deal is, what's going on there, but she remains on the bench. Daniel triggering an inbound to McKeer. Here, now moving over to the right wing. Under 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. Here's McKeer, going to try another three, and that one is off the heel, no good. Rebound skied out of the air by Rice. Kiki Rice now with the basketball for UCLA. Gives it to Sienna Betts. Now it's Neepkins to the right wing. Neepkins, right block, trying to move. Neepkins turning around. Neepkins, fall away. Well short. Sienna Betts couldn't get it to go either. Knocked out of bounds. Last touch by South Carolina. It stays with UCLA, 10 on the shot clock. Dawn Staley talking things over with the officials. Bruins with the ball now. Here's Dugalich. Gives it over to Rice. 6 to shoot. Rice, long two. Short off the front of the rim. Rebound, South Carolina Edwards. Now it's McDaniel. McDaniel now over to Tornabees, who did not play against UConn. The mid-season transfer from France. This is a shot knocked out of bounds by Dugalich. Will stay with South Carolina. She, again, joined the team and made her debut in mid-January from Vichy, France. Alicia Tornabees. Raven Johnson inbound for South Carolina with the Gamecocks down by 6. Here's Tornabees with it. Gives it to McKeer. Gamecocks have not scored in over 3 minutes. McKeer, pass deflected. Still UCLA. Now it goes over to Neepkins. Neepkins, fall away, jump shot, and Latson. Latson now over to McDaniel. McDaniel on a drive. No good. Ball tapped around, out of bounds. Who touched it last? South Carolina did. It's going to be UCLA ball. 44 seconds to play in the first quarter. Betts still on the bench and still dealing with whatever issue she was dealing with when she first got on the bench. We'll get a report. We'll try to get a report from our crack production staff in just a moment at the end of the quarter. Betts to Neepkins. Here's Dugalich. Turnaround. Inside. Too easy. 8-point lead now for UCLA. South Carolina up the floor. McDaniel drives. No good. Rebound. Sienna Betts. Now Kiki Rice. Kiki Rice with it. 11 to shoot. Kiki Rice, 7 on the timer. Now down to 4 seconds left. Rice, step back 3. It's good! And that's how the quarter ends. And UCLA will go into the second quarter with an 11-point lead, and their most famous alum approves of the first 10 minutes. They've got 3 more 10-minute increments to go, though. 1 quarter of the books in Phoenix. UCLA 21, South Carolina 10. Rough start for Dawn Staley, South Carolina Gamecocks. UCLA with a 21-10 lead. The Gamecocks shot just 17% from the field in the first quarter. That's the lowest in any quarter this season. 11-point lead for UCLA. Big Ten versus SEC. And the final game of the women's season. We've had our fair share of women's games on the platform this year. We had a couple of games in the tournament. We've had some good regular season and conference tournament games. We had a lot of the SEC tournament. We're so glad for that. And now UCLA with an 11-point lead in the first half, or the first quarter of this game, about to be number 2. Here's UCLA going left to right to start the second quarter. Here is Gabriela Jaquez. Dugalich. Now Jaquez trying to whip it around. Good pass, so that's 2 more. And UCLA with a 13-point lead, a 10-0 run for the Bruins. Tessa Johnson, jumper. Gets in, it rattled around the rim. Used about every inch of the rim from Tessa Johnson before it did. Rice, now over to Jaquez. Oh, good bounce pass. Neekins, that's a high arcing 3. Oh, my goodness gracious. The bank is open on Easter Sunday for Neekins. 26-12 UCLA. Nice reverse layup, Tessa Johnson. And she'll go to the line to complete a 3-point play. Lauren Betts, by the way, is set to come back in. Oh my God. Do we really need to see this on the screen? Lord have mercy. So a 12-point lead. Tessa Johnson with a chance to cut it to 11 at the line. Here's the free throw, and it is good. 8:41 to play first half. 26-15 UCLA. Kiki Rice up the floor for the Bruins. Now goes over to the right wing. Guarded by Raven Johnson, one of the top defenders in the United States. Neekins, now Dugalich. Rice, or no, Jaquez inside, and it's too easy. Even without Betts, UCLA is owning the paint. The lead is at 13. Joyce Edwards. McKeer. Driving. McKeer. Rims out. UCLA had the rebound. Edwards poked it away. Long cross-court pass to Johnson. Free to fire. In and out. Tessa Johnson with the rebound. She can't get it to go. Nothing going for South Carolina. Here's Kiki Rice. Neekins. Betts back in the game. The pass was too high for Betts. Was a foul call, I do believe. 7:49 to play in the second. 28-15. UCLA on top. So, UCLA inbound. Betts got it into Ledger Walker. Now Dugalich. Dugalich with the basketball. Dugalich. Now it's Neekins. Neekins. Fade away. Good. From the left block, Neekins. And UCLA doubling up South Carolina 30-15. Tessa Johnson on the right wing. Tessa Johnson. Now it's Edwards. Edwards flings a pass. McDaniel left corner 3. High arc, a little too high. No good. Rebound. Betts. UCLA's up and running again. Lauren Betts at the free throw line. Don't see her take those shots too often. Missed it. Jaquez rebound. Another offensive rebound. And a miss by Ledger Walker. South Carolina got the board this time. Raven Johnson up the floor. Raven Johnson now on the left wing. 20 to shoot. Raven Johnson spins. Kick out. Straightaway three. No good. Rebound UCLA. Jaquez has it. Now gives it. Now keeps the basketball. Jaquez down low to Betts. Betts double team. No. Betts again. Betts traveled. Turnover UCLA as Betts traveled. Inbounds pass. South Carolina. South Carolina has missed 13 of its last 15 field goals. Raven Johnson now over to Maddie McDaniel. McDaniel now over to Raven Johnson. Long two. Good. They need those to fall. They need scores and stops, and Raven Johnson cans one. Gamecocks still down 13 with 6 minutes to play in the second. Kiki Rice now for UCLA. UCLA has it now. Bruins have it with Amanda Muse. That's a name we did not call out during the game against Texas. Redshirt sophomore out of Brentwood, California. Muse averages a point a game. Only has scored 43 the entire year. She's played in 33 of UCLA's 37 games. She averages 9 minutes a contest. I was about to say contest. Here is Kiki Rice. Lob to Betts. Lauren Betts on the right block. Spinning, turning around, and missing the shot. And the rebound gathered in by Latson of South Carolina. Latson, pull up from 12. No, McDaniel couldn't quite get the rebound. It's into the hands of Jaquez. Jaquez on the left wing. Now finds Dugalich. Dugalich passes it to Rice. Out of the right wing with Tessa Johnson defending. This is Kiki Rice for UCLA. 8 of 10 from the floor off passes. 4 of 17 off the dribble. Rice kicks it back out. Here's Ledger Walker at 3. Short off the front of the rim. Offensive rebound gathered in by Rice. Fresh 20 for the Bruins. Rice on the left wing. Rice looking. Now it's Betts. Betts free throw line jumper. Good. Betts with a free throw line jump shot. I say she's just fine. 32-17 UCLA. 4:42 in the second. Here's McDaniel for South Carolina. Gives it to Latson. Latson. And a foul on UCLA. That'll be their second foul of the quarter. 4 minutes, 34 seconds to play second quarter with the score. UCLA 32, South Carolina 17. This is the Women's Basketball National Championship game. Watch along. 4:34 to play first half. 32-17 UCLA. The Gamecocks just do not have any answer in the for the Bruins, and 126 straight points scored by UCLA seniors. Now it's Raven Johnson to inbound it for South Carolina, down by 15 points. Got to get a run here and at least make this respectable before halftime. Joyce Edwards, tough two. She turned around and hit it. And a tough two to give the Gamecocks a 13-point lead. The leading scorer on the team with her first points of the day. And cuts it to 13. Good ball movement as Ledger Walker finds Jaquez. Jaquez into the paint, stops, pops, turns, way off the mark, and that'll be a shot clock violation. Coming up at halftime, we'll get you caught what else is happening around the country, as well as a salute to the other champions in women's college basketball this season. Of course, the men's tournament's championship, of course, that's tomorrow for D1, but D2 and D3 are crowning their day at Indianapolis. We'll get you the latest on those at halftime. Here is Tessa Johnson for South Carolina. Now it's Tessa Johnson. Now backing up. Now gives it to Latson. Latson on the move. Latson, that's a nice take, but another missed layup. The ball goes out of bounds, and it's going to go back to UCLA. South Carolina missing the bunnies. That is for sure. We got a fight here and a tie-up, and it's going to favor UCLA. Raven Johnson did a good job defensively of tying up Dugalich, but couldn't get it to go. But couldn't get full possession. And again, the arrow favors the Bruins with 3:25 to play in the first half. Dugalich now to Ledger Walker. Dugalich, now it's Ledger Walker. South Carolina pressing on a double team. Tessa Johnson had the steal, but went over the back of the defense of the UCLA player trying to get the steal. $3:19 to play in the second quarter. Or, oh no, it wasn't. I thought it was a foul on South Carolina. It's a foul on UCLA, so it is South Carolina ball. Raven Johnson, now over to Joyce Edwards. Joyce Edwards now spinning. Still spinning. Edwards, tough two, no. Rebound, Betts, and fighting for it. And Betts, I don't know how she didn't walk. Betts in a straitjacket gives it up to Ledger Walker. What a pick off by Latson. Latson, 2-on-1. She'll go it alone and lay it in. And Corey Close has seen enough of this business. Timeout. UCLA and South Carolina with a little momentum back. They've cut it to 11 with 2:48 to play in the second. 32-21 UCLA on top. South Carolina doing the trick. Again, still down by 11. Again, if they can get this to within South Carolina Again, if they can get it to within single digits at the half, they'd feel pretty good about that and could set us up, neutrally speaking, for one well of a second half. So now, does UCLA have an answer here? South Carolina, of course, Aja Wilson, the star in 2017, and they got that second title in 22. That felt like vindication when they won that title in 22. And then 2 years ago, Camila Cardozo and friends with an 87-75 win, but then last year a 23-point loss in the championship to Connecticut. Dawn's Dynasty, South Carolina fan in the stands, has that sign. Well, so 32-21 with 2:48 to play in the opening half. And UCLA, again, it's not a full official media timeout. That's why we kept it here. Again, if you like what you're seeing / hearing, we appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and notification bell so you can be alerted of more upcoming future content. We're just about set to get the half, get this game restarted. UCLA, 3 turnovers in their last 3 possessions. They had 3 total in the last 24. So it's UCLA with a basketball. Jaquez with it. Jaquez now gives it to Betts. Betts now with a little flare to Rice. Now Dugalich on the right wing. Dugalich 11 on the timer. Dugalich now moves to the left. Now he is over to Neepkins. Rice. Dugalich driving in. And rebound South Carolina, Tessa Johnson. Now Raven Johnson up the floor. What happened there? Raven Johnson with it under 2 minutes to play. Second quarter. Again, South Carolina, they can get this to single digits, would be absolutely massive for them. Latson to Edwards. She'll take the long 2. It rims out. Rebound UCLA Rice. Rice 1-on-3. Now things slow up. Here's a 3 ball. That's an air ball, but back for the rebound. Kick out Neepkins. Extra pass Rice. Rice now drives to the basket and lays it in. Kiki Rice. Great ball movement and a great take by Rice. It's 34-21 with 90 seconds to play in the second. Tessa Johnson now back to Ocott. Now it's Tessa Johnson and a foul on UCLA. Minute 22 to play in the second quarter. Here's Joyce Edwards for South Carolina. Raven Johnson now over to Ocott. Ocott fumbles, kept it. Joyce Edwards. Now it's Raven Johnson with 6 to shoot. Now over to Ocott. Ocott in the paint. That's a bit strong. Rebound gathered in by Dugalich. Into the final minute of the first half. UCLA's got to find, or South Carolina's got to find answers. Here's Neepkins on a drive and scores. 7 for the Utah transfer. The lead now back at 15. Raven Johnson now over to Ocott. Now Tessa Johnson, and a jumper good from the free throw line for Tessa Johnson. Kiki Rice. 3-second difference between game and shot clock. Kiki Rice now moves to the left side. Flips it over. Dugalich a 3. Too strong. Foul on UCLA, and I think it's going to be a foul. I think she pointed that way, so I don't believe you think the foul would be on UCLA, and indeed it is. And it's going to go on Dugalich. 10 seconds left, first half. Nine seconds left. Raven Johnson for South Carolina. Gamecocks going to go for the last shot. 3 seconds left. They need a bucket for momentum's sake. Is she even going to get a shot off? No! She made it, but it was before, but the buzzer sounded. And Raven Johnson's pleading with her teammates saying, give me some help. Dawn Staley walks into the locker room. So too does Tessa Johnson. And Raven Johnson just took too much time. That's just simply all there was to it. And UCLA is halfway to hanging an NCAA women's banner to accompany the 11 men's banners inside Pauley Pavilion. Halftime in Phoenix, UCLA 36, South Carolina 23. Halftime activities come your way next. 36-23 UCLA at halftime in the Women's National Championship game, as we've got Ilona Maher helping with Red Panda at halftime in Phoenix. That's quite a spectacle, and that is for sure. UCLA, of course, looking for their first title in the NCAA era. They won an AIAW national title in 1978. South Carolina looking for a fourth national championship, all of them which have come since 2017. Well, college basketball is winding down its season. Championships are being awarded, the final games of the season. On the women's side, of course, today is the final game for the women's season. More on that in just a moment. The final few games of the men's season today. A lot of games today. The College Basketball Crown Championship, as well as games from the NCAA Division II and Division III men's titles in the men's NIT. Earlier today in Indianapolis, the Division II men's title, it was won by Gannon. They beat Lander 84-61. So congratulations to Gannon University. The Golden Knights from Erie, Pennsylvania, national champions for the first time in program history as they defeat Lander in that championship game today. That was earlier today. Meanwhile, the Division III tournament, the Division III championship game, is being played as we speak. They're just underway. 18:21 to play in the first. Mary Washington leads Emory 2-0. So that's what's happening in that tournament. Also coming up here in mere moments, you have the College Basketball Crown Final. That's Oklahoma, West Virginia. And then we'll have the penultimate game of the season in men's college basketball tonight from Indy, the NIT championship game between Tulsa and Auburn. Well, women's college basketball has been another exciting and fun year of women's college basketball. What we want to do is take a time now to salute all the other champions in women's college basketball, the other D1 tournament champions, as well as the NCAA and NAIA champions in other divisions. Of course, the WBIT, which is the number 2 women's tournament. Congratulations to the Columbia Lions. They won the women's basketball invitation tournament today. Their first time ever. They beat BYU 81-64. Congratulations to the Lions and 10th year head coach Megan Griffith, who finished the season up with a record of 25-8 on the season. A 25-8 mark as they beat BYU by 17 in the championship game 4 nights ago. So congratulations to Columbia on their championship. The Women's National Invitation Tournament was held. That championship was held yesterday. And our congratulations to Julie Fulks and the Marshall Thundering Herd, who won that championship. They beat Illinois State 66-41 inside the Cam Henderson Center. Marshall, who, of course, had a good NCAA tournament run a couple of years, or a good run to the tournament, winning the Sun Belt with Kim Caldwell as the head coach a couple of years ago. And now Fulks keeping up what's becoming a new winning tradition in Marshall. Of course, a Division III champion with Transylvania. And now winning the WNIT at Marshall. So congratulations to the Thundering Herd on winning the WNIT. And of course, congratulations are also going to go out to the champions in other levels of women's collegiate basketball. The NCAA Division II Women's Championship. Congratulations to the Lakers of Grand Valley State, who beat Indiana of Pennsylvania 72-49 to win the championship. The third title for the Lakers in program history and their second in a row. Just a phenomenal accomplishment for Grand Valley State, who rules things right now, needless to say, in Division II women's basketball. So congratulations to the Lakers on that run as they beat Indiana PA to win the NCAA Division II Women's Basketball National Championship. So congratulations to Coach Mike Williams in the Grand Valley State Lakers on winning that title. the Division III women's level. Of course, that garnered attention because of who didn't win the championship. NYU, who had their long winning streak snapped in the semifinals. They had a 91-game win streak before losing in the Final Four to Scranton. Scranton eventually did lose in the championship game. Congratulations to Maureen Hurt and the Denison Big Red, who won the Division III title. They beat Scranton 55-41 back on March the 21st to claim their first national championship. And finally, in NAIA land, congratulations to the Marion Knights out of Indiana, who won their first NAIA championship. They beat Dordt from Iowa 73-61 in title. Now another thing is saying they won their third NAIA title. Anyway, congratulations to them. They won the NAIA championship by winning over Dordt 73-61. So congratulations to Marion on winning that championship. So that's the champions in all the other classifications. Real quick, let's get you caught up on what else is happening elsewhere around the sports world on this Sunday. News and scores. Let's go NBA. Let's go to the NBA right now in progress. Boston with a 54-46 lead over Toronto. The Nets lead the Wizards 59-54 at the half. Also at halftime, Phoenix 63, Chicago 56, and Milwaukee leads Memphis 62-56. Later tonight, Indiana's at Cleveland, Charlotte at Minnesota, Orlando at New Orleans, Utah at OKC, the Lakers at Dallas, the Clippers at Sacramento, and Houston at Golden State. And there's more injury concerns for the LA Lakers. Of course, Luka Doncic is out for the rest of the regular season. Now, sources say Austin Reeves is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with an oblique injury. So there you go on that end. Real quick, there was some coaching news in women's college basketball. Georgia, just a day after they fired head coach Katie Abrams from Henderson, they've got their new coach, Ayla Guzzardo, who led McNeese to a school record 29 wins this season, will now take over Georgia and come into the meat grinder that is the SEC. Soccer today, you saw it maybe earlier. Leeds beat West Ham on penalties to advance to the FA Cup semifinals. Hearts drew with Livingston in Scotland, but they keep the lead in the SPL race. In hockey, one after being eliminated, Florida trails Pittsburgh 4-1. It's Philadelphia 1-0 on Boston. One final today, Minnesota won a 5-4 thriller over Detroit. Later tonight, Carolina at Ottawa, New Jersey at Montreal, Washington at the Rangers, and St. Louis at Colorado. And in Major League Baseball, Shohei Ohtani hit a 400-foot bomb, a nuke. Dodgers, though, do trail the Nationals 2-1 in the fourth. They're in a rain delay at Yankee Stadium. No score between Miami and the Yanks. Milwaukee leads Kansas City 6-5 in the eighth. It's Tampa 4-1 over Minnesota in the 10th. White Sox lead the Blue Jays 3-0 in the ninth. Cincinnati and Texas tied at 1 in the eighth. In the bottom of the sixth, Colorado 4-1 over Philadelphia. Astros and A's scoreless top of the third. Mets lead 1-0 over the Giants at the bottom of the third. Mariners lead the Angels 2-1 in the middle of the second. And also in the third, Atlanta 1, Arizona 1. Chicago, the Cubs, and Cleveland scoreless in the first. The Sunday night game is St. Louis at Detroit. Earlier today, Cubs took the first game of the doubleheader with the Guardians 1-0. Pittsburgh beat Baltimore 8-2. That's 5 in a row for the Pirates. And the Padres beat the Red Sox 8-6. Boom. That's how you get a scoreboard done just before the start of the third quarter. South Carolina to inbound the basketball. It's Joyce Edwards, 26% in the first half. South Carolina shot lowest in any half since 2022. Raven Johnson, long two, no good. Rebound, Ocott, and Ocott gets it to go. Ocott with a good finish to start the second half for South Carolina, who goes left to right in black uniforms. UCLA right to left in the white uniforms. Jaquez Lobbing it. There's Betts, and Betts scores. Too easy for Lauren Betts. And it's 38-25, and now a steal by UCLA. Pull up. Neepkins 3. No. Rebound South Carolina, Raven Johnson. Tessa Johnson. Offensive foul. Away from the ball. The shot didn't go anyway, and that's not the start South Carolina was wanting to quarter number 3. (38-25) is the lead for UCLA. And a whistle away from the ball here. 29 in the third. UCLA to inbound. Here's Kiki Rice. Now over to Neepkins. Ledger Walker a 3. No good. Jaquez puts it in. 15-point UCLA lead. Here comes Tessa Johnson up the floor. Now is Tessa Johnson. Edwards triple teamed, and then Betts poked it away. Rice up the floor for UCLA. Rice over to Jaquez. Ledger Walker misses the layup. And Raven Johnson. Layup and then another turnover. A little out of control. Rice. 3-ball kick out. 3-ball good. Ledger Walker. It's an 18-point Bruin lead. Edwards driving. And then some contact and then a foul. And so it was an offense. Actually, it was an offensive foul at South Carolina. So it's UCLA ball. They lead it by 18 points. And Kiki Rice now on the left side. Rice, Dugalich, Betts, Jaquez, 3, no. Betts, though, got the rebound. Betts now over to Dugalich. Dugalich on a drive. And drew the foul from Latson. The shot no good. Already 4 fouls on South Carolina. Free throws coming up. First one up and good. Make it 44-25. Second free throw is no good. Now foul on the way now. 7:04 to play in the third quarter. Well, Angela Jaquez and Jaime Jaquez Sr. in the stands. We told you that Jaime Jr. plays the NBA's Miami Heat, had a great men's career at UCLA, is in attendance. The foul away on Dugalich, that is her third. It may not matter at this rate. And McDaniel drives to the basket, and a foul called. So UCLA has now picked up 2 quick fouls. So here's McDaniel at the free throw line. 72% free throw shooter and short of the first one for the sophomore from Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Career high 10 points against Texas in the SEC championship game. Second free throw good. 18-point lead for UCLA. South Carolina now wanting to bring the press. It's Jaquez now over to Neepkins. Neepkins on the left wing. Now it goes back to Jaquez. Now it's Ledger Walker. 14 to shoot. Ledger Walker. Now over to Jaquez. Jaquez now back to Ledger Walker. Neepkins, left block jump shot. No. And loose ball, and Latson thought she had it, but they call a held ball, and it's going to give the ball back to UCLA with a possession arrow. Here is a UCLA 3. It's off the mark. They get the rebound, though, with Kiki Rice. Rice now over to Jaquez. Lob. There's Betts. There's two more. They have no answer. UCLA is now up by 20 in the national championship game. Largest deficit of the year for South Carolina. Latson blocked. UCLA's got numbers. Jaquez, good. Dawn Staley has seen enough. Timeout, South Carolina. It's turning into a championship landslide in the desert. UCLA up by 22. My goodness. South Carolina was favored. I mean, you're just running out of words to describe the performance they've put on here. And the Big Ten about to get that championship. Now, we mentioned last night on the men's side, it had been a long time since a team from the West has won the men's championship. That was in 97. It hasn't been that long for a team from the West to win the women's championship. That was 2021 Stanford in the All Pac-12 final in San Antonio. Stanford beat Arizona. But UCLA going to be bound and determined to bring one to Los Angeles. And again, might not just in case, yes, they won an AIAW title, and it is recognized, but as far as an official NCAA title, they've never reached these heights before, and with 5:42 to go in the third, they're up by 22. I'm guessing this counts as the under 5 timeout. I am not taking a break unless it's under 5, but I mean, UCLA has just absolutely shot the lights out here. And it's UCLA who leads it by 22 points. And about to end the Big Ten's 27-year drought for a championship in women's college basketball. The great 1999 Purdue Boilermakers that were led by head coach Carolyn Peck and everything guard Stephanie White. the main cogs on that Purdue team. There have been some good ones in the Big Ten down the pike, but UCLA ready to end the drought. Their 6 seniors have combined for all 48 of the Bruins' points. Hawk has 11, Betts 10, Dugalich 7, Ledger Walker 8, Neepkin 7, Rice 5. It's a team effort. And in this day and age, for all the talk about young stars, men's and women's game, there is still something to be said about having some senior leadership. A plus 15 rebound margin for UCLA as play resumes, plus 14 to the paint. Nice pass, Tessa Johnson gets it to McKeer, and it's a 20-point game with 5:23 to play in the third. Jaquez now back over to Kiki Rice. UCLA with Ledger Walker. Here's another 3 ball, and that one died on the heel. Rebounded by Edwards. Now Tessa Johnson up the floor for South Carolina. Tessa Johnson now. Here is Tornabees. Back to Tessa Johnson. 3 ball. Barely grazed the rim. Tornabees gets the rebound. It's poked out of her hand, out of bounds. It'll stay with South Carolina. 4:52 to go with the third quarter. 48-28. Now that'll take us to an under 5 timeout. It is a Bruin bludgeoning in Phoenix. We'll be right back. .452 third quarter, 20-point lead for the Bruins of UCLA against the Gamecocks of South Carolina, who have just not had an answer for the Bruins in this senior group. And are they feeling it? You bet they are. Corey Close's team, the Jaquez family. Jaime, of course, who played in a men's Final Four game against Gonzaga in 2021. Apologies to any UCLA fans that might have just heard that. Raven Johnson had a hard time getting it inbound. I think they gave a 5-second call. It's going from bad to worse for South Carolina. So now Rice to inbound for UCLA. We're getting to Sienna Betts. Now it's Rice. Now Ledger Walker. Ledger Walker and a turnover. She stepped out of bounds. So it goes back to South Carolina. So now it's Raven Johnson with it for South Carolina. Now it's McKeer. McKeer, Edwards. Tessa Johnson, score it. 2 more for Tessa. Kiki Rice, nearly a turnover. Scramble between Betts and Raven Johnson. Sienna Betts and Raven Johnson. And it is a tie-up. And the arrow favors South Carolina. 4:18 to play in the third. 48-30. The lead for UCLA. Inbound, Raven Johnson gets it to Tessa. Tessa Johnson missing the shot. And the rebound gathered in by Rice. Kiki Rice now for UCLA. Rice now will hand it off to Ledger Walker. Jaquez. Now it's Rice. Rice now gets it back over to Lauren Betts, who apparently is wearing 26. Must have had a jersey issue there. South Carolina in transition. Tornabees, no good. Rebound, Dugalich. So Lauren Betts now has a new jersey. I guess hers got ripped off. Wonder who Gino Orium is going to blame that on. Here's Kiki Rice now over to Dugalich. Now it's Lauren Betts. Jaquez, a left wing three. Nothing but net. Gabriela Jaquez. UCLA up 21. 3:06 in the third. Tessa Johnson. And get a foul on UCLA. $14 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists for Jaquez. Raven Johnson. Tessa Johnson in trouble. Wrap around. Back to Tessa Johnson. Gives it back to Raven. 10 to shoot. Raven Johnson. Left wing three on the way. Off the mark, no good. Rebound, Tornabees. Had it poked away by Rice. And then as they scrambled for it, Tornabees called for a foul. So Kiki Rice at the free throw line, the senior out of Bethesda, Maryland. 91% free throw shooter on the year. 94% from the line for a career in the NCAA tournament. Oh my God, stop the presses. That one actually hit the rim a little bit, but it went in. And now 2 more. She missed! I don't believe it. Ball, Raven Johnson, McKeer, and Ledger Walker with the block. That'll be the most stunning thing of the day, even more so than the margin of victory. Kiki Rice missed a free throw. Joyce Edwards was a little slow to get up as the play was behind the play just now. 22-point game. 22-point game with 2:37 to play in the third. Sienna Betts also getting taped up on her knee there. Her right knee, as it were. .237 to go, third quarter. Inbound, South Carolina. Tornabees, a three, and that one won't go. Rebound, Lauren Betts. Finds Sister Sienna. Now it's Jaquez. Rice up the floor. Kiki Rice now with the basketball. Moves to the left. Now gets it over to Sienna Betts. Neepkins on a drive. Neepkins misses the shot. Sienna Betts with the rebound. Back to Lauren Betts. Neepkins three, of course. Why wouldn't it go? Neepkins with a three. 25-point lead for the ladies from Westwood. Edwards now over to Tessa Johnson. And another foul against South Carolina. And the Raven Johnson reaction just tells me everything I need to know about the frustration. It is pure frustration on this South Carolina team. They are getting beat in every facet of the game. Dawn Staley doesn't know what's hit her. She's looking for the number of that truck. 17 assists on 22 made field goals. Another foul, and this one's going to go on McKeer of South Carolina. A minute 50 to play in the third. Got a feel for people like Chloe Kitts, a senior who had that ACL surgery. Right there was a key cog last year, was the MVP of the SEC tournament a year ago. And UCLA fans, to say they're loving it right now would be a mass understatement. Rice atones for that shocking free throw miss by making her next one. Second one is good. The lead's at 27. Gianna Neepkins, 5 older brothers, and of course we mentioned earlier was one of the few notable new pieces that UCLA got in the offseason. You didn't need much when you had this senior class, but the three-point shooting prowess of Neepkins was much needed, and the Utah transfers brought it to him. Latson driving into the paint. Latson now just kind of circling around. Pass is deflected. And good save by Muse, and UCLA now has the ball yet again. Here's Ledger Walker. Now gets it back to Neepkins. Neepkins dribbling it. Neepkins trying to move with it. Nearly a steal. Loose ball. Jaquez, 10 to shoot. It's Ledger Walker. Down to 6. Jaquez drives. Neepkins 3. No. Rebound, Betts. Ledger Walker inside a minute to play in the third. Ledger Walker guarded by McDaniel. 11 to shoot. Now trying to move into the paint. Attacking and scoring 2 more. And it's 59 to 30 UCLA with 40 seconds to go in the third. An 11-0 run. And another turnover. Joyce Edwards couldn't corral the long pass. And UCLA fans, some of them are already overwhelmed. Jaquez. And a bit of a heat. UCLA takes a timeout. Amazing what's happened with this game. UCLA just... Of course, another reason why Ann Myers Drysdale is in attendance today is they're honoring the women of the 1976 U.S. Olympic team. So, talk about UCLA. Madison Booker, 6 points, 3 of 23 shooting. Was it 6 points on 1 of 8 today for Edwards? Another foul here. 29 seconds to play in the third quarter. And UCLA up by 29. Lauren Betts has a new 51 jersey. It's clean. It's ready to go. And she's at the free throw line. The Centennial Colorado product. If there is one quote-unquote weakness, you'd say that she's just a 68% free throw shooter, but she drills that one. 11 points, 11 rebounds. Second free throw. Up. In and out. And what do we got here? I think maybe a lane violation. I think she's gonna get to shoot it again. 26 seconds, and we'll be making this last 10 minutes a coronation, and we're going to talk a lot about Lauren Betts and about how big of a role her life basketball is in her life, but how she's using it to promote other things in her life. And the support system, Corey Close and them done it. South Carolina 3 of 13 from the floor in the third quarter, 8 turnovers, and the Bruins have outscored them 25-7. A game that was on the verge of getting out of hand has very much got out of hand. McDaniel, 10 to shoot. McDaniel on the move. Latson, 3 on the timer. Blocked Betts. Follow no. The foul with 7/10 of a second. First free throw, good for Joyce Edwards. Edwards averages 20 points a game, 3 on the day. Speaks to what UCLA has done. Edwards got the second. Inbound UCLA, and that'll take us to the money quarter. The Bruins, best in class and then some. A plus 16 third quarter margin, the largest in any quarter in the history of the title game. UCLA over the hills and far, far away. They lead it by 29 after 3. 61-32, UCLA, 10 minutes to play. The Bruins on the verge of an historic first NCAA championship. Corey Close trying to stay focused while talking to the media right now, doing the after-quarter interview. But you look at her eyes if you're watching on TV while listening to us, and it's hard to ignore. It's hard to. She is already starting to get a little emotional. And if she's getting emotional right now, you can only imagine what it's going to be like in 10 minutes of game time when that buzzer sounds and UCLA will officially be national champions. You talk about this team, a senior group, even in women's basketball now. Women's basketball you'll have teams, again, rules a little bit different with the WNBA. So the portal is a big thing, obviously, and, people do leave after 3 years or whatnot, but UCLA had a good group of seniors. They all could have hit the portal. They all could have went to the WNBA, and they wanted to run this back, and it's proven to be a very, very wise decision. 9:40 to play. UCLA with the basketball. Turnaround bets. No good. Rebound to Tornabees. Tessa Johnson for 3 off the mark. Tornabees got the rebound and a foul called. Inbound here to South Carolina. Tessa Johnson now. Here is Tornabees. And now another steal. Here's Jaquez. Here's 2 more. 63-32. Here is Raven Johnson. Driving inside. Now over to Tornabees. And Tornabees' pass too long. We mentioned Lauren Betts, of course. She has been open with her battle with depression and anxiety. Even went to the hospital back in January of 2024. Checked herself into a hospital at UCLA for depression and anxiety. She called it a necessary move for her safety. This is going to be a found here on UCLA. And she recently wrote an article in the Players Tribune about saying that the title is "I Want to Be Here" by Lauren Betts. And she got a lot of praise from her head coach about it too. Tornabees goes for the block and is fouled. She got a lot of help. $8:29 to go. Neepkins and Tornabees. Yeah, Corey Close said she couldn't be, quote, more impressed and inspired. She said, quote, I cannot imagine when I was having that kind of courage and having experienced some of those things as Neepkins makes the first free throw alongside her and with her. To see even just being over there and watching her answer the question about why she did that, I think spoke to her growth, close quote. And obviously that is that is not an easy thing to deal with. You have mental health. Your mental health, You have to take care of yourself first. You have to remind you're actually a person first. You must forget that. We get so entrenched in this sports world. As Raven Johnson misses a shot. Ocott with the putback. I believe there was the foul on UCLA was called before. No, they're going to count the basket. So it's going to be 2 more for Ocott here with 8:16 to play. You know, and they're a team that likes to have a little bit of fun. Second free, as the and one free throw is no good. So UCLA team that likes to have its fun too. 8:08 to go. Kiki Rice with the basketball. 31-point lead for UCLA. Here's Kiki Rice. Lob, looking for Betts, and a foul on South Carolina. And of course, you have Clarice Ledger-Walker, Gabriella Jaquez, and Lauren Betts. They did a halftime routine, dance routine with the cheerleaders, the dance team at halftime. The UCLA men's game as Rice adds 2 more. They then recreated those 3, after they won the Big Ten tournament and received the Big Ten tournament trophy. Edwards, the lay in there to make it 67-36. And they've been a fun team all year long, and now they are about to have the full coronation coming up. And if you're a UCLA fan, this 7:27 stretch is going to drag because you just want it to be over. You want to start celebrating officially. It's going to drag for South Carolina for differing reasons. Raven Johnson with a 3, it's no good. Rebound, Tessa Johnson. Edwards. Now back to Tessa Johnson. We'll talk about the South Carolina side of this here as well, as Tessa Johnson drives and scores. 2 for Tessa. Well, there are some seniors on this team. Latson, of course, a senior. Raven Johnson, all her wins. Ocott, a senior too. Raven Johnson just brought such great defensive play to South Carolina over the years. As we get a foul on South Carolina away from the ball. 6:47 to go. And it's a 67-38 lead for UCLA. Texas had averaged 85 points a game in the NCAA tournament. Then Texas held them to UCLA held them to 44. South Carolina was averaging 88 points a game in the tournament. They've been held to 38 today, although they forced a turnover right here, and they'll try to add just a little bit more to it. And instead, it's another turnover. 6:31 to play until we officially get to the finish line. And we got a timeout. So 6:31 to play and a 67-38 lead for the UCLA Bruins. And UCLA with just an absolute amazing day to remember here. South Carolina, again, it's going to sting here. It's going to be a second straight championship game blowout loss, but still, the scope of what South Carolina has accomplished in general is just amazing. And again, not that South Carolina is filled with bargain bin players, but we mentioned at the start of the show that they lost a lot of people a year ago from that team that went to the national championship game, and then you had that Chloe Kitts injury and other knocks throughout the year. But Dawn Staley kept them together, and she has proven that she is an elite coach. Corey Close in her 15th season, about to be the longest tenured coach at one school before winning a title in the history of the sport. 15th year as cocky shakes his head, and Corey Close still coaching and still instructing. 6:31 to play. And still, I'm about to pull a Matthew. Why are we at the monitor? What in the world are we looking at here? Okay, after whatever the heck that was, we now can resume the game of basketball. Ledger Walker. Betts. Rice. Rice now, Ledger Walker. Neepkins, corner three. Got it. Another three from Neepkins. UCLA, a powder keg today. Here's Tessa Johnson, long two, well off. Edwards inside, and there's two for Joyce Edwards. 70-40 UCLA, 5 minutes and 47 seconds to play. Here's Kiki Rice. And on the left wing, UCLA with the basketball. Here is Rice. Lob, there's Dugalich, there's two more inside. 72-40. Corey Close. About to join an exclusive list of coaches that have national championships. Gino Auriemma, Pat Summitt, Tara Vanderveer, Muffet McGraw, Leon Barmore, Dawn Staley, Kim Mulkey, Brenda Fries, Jody Conrad, Sylvia Hatchell, Linda Sharp, and plenty others. She will become the 17th different coach to win an NCAA championship. She's going to be the first-time champion, as Raven Johnson misses the free throw. I believe she'll be the first-time champion, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong on this, the first-time champion since Brenda Fries back in 2006 with Maryland. Raven makes the second. They will become the 17th. UCLA will become the 17th different program to win an NCAA championship. South Carolina will miss a chance to have sole possession of third on that list as Jaquez adds 2 more with a lay-in. 18 for Jaquez. McDaniel now over to McKeer. McKeer now Tornabese. Puts up the shot, way off. Rebound UCLA with Dugalich. Long outlet. There's Betts. There's 2 more. And still hustling to get back on defense. What does that say about her and this team's attitude? In a 35-point game with less than 4.5 to play. McDaniel, McKeer, jump shot, good. Seven for McKeer, and the lead at 33. Here's Rice for UCLA. Rice. Dugalich. Neepkins. This is Rice. 9 on the timer. Pass picked off by McKeer. McKeer on a drive. McKeer misses the layup but gets fouled. And she'll go to the line when we come back from our final break. 3:46 remaining. UCLA in complete command. 76-43. We'll be right back. Apparently, they must have had the media timeout, that long timeout we didn't break for. Lauren Betts off the court, Kiki Rice off the court. They both had a great embrace with Corey Close as McKeer makes the second. So again, got our wires crossed from a media timeout perspective. 76-45, and again, all of UCLA's points the last 170 it is now, scored by seniors. Will a non-senior score before this game's over? That's the question. Jaquez, no. Scramble, loose ball, and Muse has it. Now Ledger Walker with 7 on the timer. Shot clock at 4. Here is Ledger Walker. Jump shot. No good. Rebounded by Dugalich. And a fresh 20 for UCLA. Ledger Walker with a kick out. Jaquez, another 3. Of course. Of course. For Gabriela Jaquez. 21 for Jaquez. UCLA up by 34, and Corey Close is going to take a timeout here. And presumably this timeout is to get the rest of the senior stars off. Jaquez with an embrace of Corey Close. She'll go to the bench and getting a standing ovation from those in the UCLA light blue. Play resumes. McDaniel. And now here, UCLA is going to join a very, very short list of programs. Programs that have won championships on both the women's and the men's side, as McDaniel misses the first. NCAA champions on the women's and men's side. The only programs prior to today that had done that. Baylor, I believe Stanford. This free throw is good. Maryland, North Carolina. Next year's Final Four, by the way, Columbus, Ohio. Last time we were there, the greatest Final Four maybe ever with all those close games. Ledger Walker misses the layup. Here's Neepkins, and her bunny is no good. Rebound by Tornabese. Tornabese here, and McKeer fouled on that shot with 2:14 left. Realization setting in for Dawn Staley, and not the way that her, Tessa Johnson, or Raven Johnson wanted this to end. And Corey Close, tears in her eyes as she now gives Gianna Neepkins her curtain call. McKeer makes the first. South Carolina will be in the mix again. 5 straight 35-win seasons, program record in points per game, 5th title appearance at 17. No other team, not even UConn in that stretch, has more than 2. 79-48. It's going to sting for a while, but they'll look back on it and go, you know what? We had a darn good year. They won the SEC regular season title. They conquered UConn. They played to the championship again. As Ledger Walker loses it, and Tornabees picks it up. And then nearly a steal attempt. Minute 47 to play. Tessa Johnson trying to through Chloe Kitts. I think that's the one I probably feel for there, because she was such a good role player, solid player, and not even get a chance to play this year, and then having to watch this, knowing that she couldn't do anything about it. It's a tough watch as McDaniel drives the basket. It's no good. UCLA the rebound. As we are now into the final 90 seconds of this one. Dougal Leach. Ledger Walker. Rebounded by McKeer. Here's another 3 for South Carolina, and that one's good. As we approach the final minute, 79-51. As we're inside of a minute to play, and UCLA can dribble it out. A program that, again, as we told you earlier, nobody's won more titles on the men's side than the Bruins. Muse misses a layup. Tornabees, long pass, going to be too long for McKeer into the South Carolina cheerleaders. And 36 seconds left. The program that won in the precursor to this, so we mentioned back in 78, but never at the NCAA, never even had been to a Final Four until last year. They got a taste of it. They decided, you know what? We like this Final Four business. We can go back and do it again. 7-second difference between game and shot clock. 5 on the timer. Well, for generation, now they will stop the clock with 6 seconds left, and South Carolina will just inbound the basketball for the final, and let the final 6 seconds run out. For generations, UCLA fans had a lot to cheer for on the men's side with a magical wizard running things. Now they can open up a new chapter of championships with a wizardess named Close. Corey Close and UCLA can hang a banner in Westwood. The Bruins have won their first NCAA championship, and they've done it in dominating fashion. A 28-point demolition of South Carolina, pillar to post. No contest. Lauren Betts emotional. Gabriela Jaquez, they're all going to be emotional. And now, that 1978 women's banner, and a great move by Dawn Staley and the staff applauding the South Carolina fans and thanking them for their support. And those 11 men's banners, now they can hang a fresh new women's banner up there. And, well, if last year didn't prove it, it's pretty obvious now. The women run Westwood now. UCLA is your national champion. Corey Close embracing, and an emotional run and a year that had just a whole lot to go, a whole lot going. You have to have a lot go your way when you win these championships, and they were so dominant, not just today, but dominant throughout the year. As mentioned, with them finishing off this championship effort today, as they become just the second team to win, second team from the Big Ten to win a championship, joining the '99 Purdue team. Again, UCLA trying to get some words here. They finished the season at 37-1. And again, of those 37 wins that they had all season, only 2 of those 37 were by only 3 of those 37 were by single digits. They beat Ohio State by 7 in December. They beat Michigan by 3 in February. And they beat Texas by 7 on Friday. Gabriela Jaquez was the leading scorer with 21 points. Lauren Betts with 11 rebounds. And so this puts a final bow on the women's college basketball season. We had our fair share of action for you. We were glad to bring you the Final Four and the national championship. Our congratulations to all the teams that participated in the NCAA tournament. And we congratulate this outstanding senior class who, in this modern climate, gives you a reminder of how you can stick together, accomplish a goal, stick it out 4 years, and reach heights you never thought you would reach before. So our congratulations to UCLA senior class, to head coach Corey Close, and all involved with the UCLA Bruins women's basketball program on their first NCAA national championship. The final score from Phoenix, Arizona, it's finished UCLA 79, South Carolina 51. So long, everybody.